Okay, well, once we have determined which are the objectives for the class, we can move into the following step. The following step will be what the teachers do before planning the class. Before planning the class, the teachers should work in the pre-plan. If you pay attention, this image represents what the teacher should consider, or some of the aspects the teacher should consider at the moment of thinking about the lesson plan. For example, who am I teaching? What am I teaching? How will I teach? How will I know if the students understand? These are some questions we may sometimes ask before drawing the plan. So, during this pre-plan stage, teachers should consider aspects like the job of teaching, the institution, and the students. We're going to see each of them one by one. When speaking about the job of teaching, that means what the teacher is going to do, you should analyze the language for the level you're working with. That means the language, if you're working in primary school, is not going to be the same than the language you're using when working in secondary school. The skills you are going to develop in your students, the skills and the activities provided for the skills and the level of your students, the learning aids available for the level. We know that the material we have in hand for primary school is not the same that the material we have in hand for secondary school, and the differences. The stages and techniques we're going to use, again, consider your audience, consider your students in order to decide the techniques to use. And of course, a repertoire of activities, that means a variety of activities. Some minutes ago we spoke about variety, and that is essential. We should not provide our students every class with the same kind of activities and the same kind of techniques. And of course, classroom management techniques. That means the techniques we as teachers use in order to catch our students' attention, to make them practice, to work with them, the use of voice, the organization in the classroom, everything connected to classroom techniques. Apart from that, we have to know some aspects of the institution, like, for example, the time, the length, and the frequency of our classes. We know that in primary school, classes have a duration of 60 minutes, and we generally have 1 hour, and in the upper grades, like 6th or 7th, we have 2 hours. But in secondary schools, the classes have a duration of 40 minutes, and we have 3 classes in a week. Of course, physical conditions are important. In this case, physical conditions will tell you if you have a video, a TV, if you have a DVD player, if you have a Wi-Fi connection, if you have chairs enough, if you have blackboard or whiteboard or green board, if you have a specific corner to have your English corner, everything, every condition you have to prepare your lesson. The syllabus is important. You know that you do not decide what to teach. There's a syllabus that tells you that, for example, in first year in secondary school, students are supposed to study simple present, or in 6th grade in primary schools, students are supposed to learn about describing personal objects. Exams, you know that there are certain dates that are used to provide our students exams. That is those are schools restrictions. And of course, the restrictions schools provide, like, for example, there are some schools that do not allow students to go outside of the classroom during classes. So these are aspects you have to consider before planning your lesson. Bearing in mind students, you should also consider some aspects like the age of the students, the sex, the social background, and the occupation of parents. And of course, if you're working with grown-ups, their occupation. When analyzing these aspects, we will determine what kind of activities will be more motivating for them. So that's why we analyze these aspects. We also analyze what the students bring to class. The motivation and attitudes they bring to class, the educational background, their knowledge, and their interests. These information we analyze in this section will help us to choose material, activities, topics to be taught. And finally, we also analyze from students what they need. Whenever we provide an activity, we should consider their needs, their necessities, their wants. This is something that will help us to motivate them.